Objectives are to know making bread dough and forming rolls, and why, to be able to understand the function of ingredients, particularly yeast, and manipulate dough for presentation. We've looked at writing down what you know about bread, go through the kneading process, and that salt wants to avoid touching the yeast directly as it will kill the yeast. And that's what we're aiming for. Manipulating the dough for presentation. We're going to do a plat. So you have your ingredients. We're going to start. I'll do it by switching on the oven to 200 degrees. After you have washed your hands. Washed, I have the oven gloves at the ready. And the oven's on 200 Celsius. You do that. Hands are our equipment. We're not going to get them dirty because you're going to use just enough water gradually to form the ball before we tip it out and use the surface to knead it. 250 grams of plain flour, and that's where we're going to add this is salt. Salt with like 5 milligrams. It's kind of like a really level teaspoon. Tip that in, and then we have the sugar. We're going to do that the opposite side. So salt one side, sugar the other side. And the yeast is around 7 grams in a packet like this. Comes as standard, but this is about 7 grams as a flat tablespoon. So we're going to put that next to the sugar, We don't need it next to the salt, we need it next to the sugar. The one time that we can use a spoon is just to mix that together. So that's done. So you've got salt, sugar and yeast, mix. That's the first step to success. The 150 milliliters of warm water. I'm going to circle it around. I haven't used it all. Just agitate that in the bowl. And then I'll go around again with some more. Why don't we add it all at once? In case it just gets too wet. Depending on the temperature of the room, if the room is moist, then we need less water. If the room is a dry room, we need more. That's combining, and we need some more there. So I've used all the 150 milliliters, and we use warm water because it helps. What does it help? It activates the yeast. So you notice I haven't used the spoon once. And then we're going to add in, you can see that we have, what do we have? We have 15 milliliters. So the milliliters is usually 1 tablespoon. So I'd gradually put that in. That's going to maybe give it a bit of taste as well, a bit of moisture. So at that point, I'm not even mixing, I'm just shaking the bowl. Then I can use my hand, and then I'm going to grab all the dry bits of dough. And as you see, it's not too wet, not too dry. At that point, I think that was a minute or two. You're ready to get that stage. That's your steps to success. That's the first stage. You want to have this in your hand like that. I've sprinkled some plain flour on the surface. Each person needs a surface. So that's now my ball of dough. And the kneading process is you're going to pull the ball of your hand onto it. Where it starts to tear, you're going to pull back the dough, turn it, keep pulling it to tear it, but not in half, just to tear so you can see membranes. And this is forming gluten. That's what gives bread its elasticity. That's what gives pasta its elasticity. We need that elasticity and create the gluten. So we're going to do that. Pull it apart. 4 fingers pull, ball of hand pull, and then connect together. Turn it. Ball of hand on the one, and the fingers pull it so it starts to tear. This is creating the gluten, and we're going to do that for 5 minutes. That's your step to success. We're going to use the ball of the hand and the fingertips and pull, combine, pull, combine, pull, combine. And let's go. So the shaping, what I'm going to do, tear this in half. I'm going to twist so I have 2 balls. The one, I'm going to roll it between my fingers and hand. till it starts to form kind of longer shape. And I'll tear that into 3. I can start between my fingers and then I can start to roll them on the table. Just pull them out so they're fairly long, evenly, okay? You're going to sit them side by side, okay? And then that's where you pinch here, and then you're going to open them out so they're legs. The outer one comes over, the outer one comes over to the middle, the outer one comes over to the middle, the outer 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 to the middle. And when you get there, you can pinch it, just pop that under, and that's where this is ready for the baking tray. We now have these 2 extra pieces, okay, and then just roll together, pinch it, and so something like this. And then a second one. I'm going to roll it a bit more. Pull the camera out. Into a kind of knot. So there is 3 doughy pieces ready to go in the oven. So oven gloves on. One person is opening the oven door, and the other person with the oven gloves on is placing them in. So we need the top and the middle shelves for sharing. That's on the bottom. So we put the second tray there. So we're going to time that for 15 minutes on 200. And now we need to wash up. It's 15 minutes, one person with the oven gloves. And the other person opens the oven door, holds it so it doesn't swing. One person takes out the baked bread and puts it on the hob. Right, and then you can turn it over quickly, take your fingers off immediately, turn it upside down, and there's 2 ways to check if it's done. Obviously you need a kind of like golden coating, but if you tap it, if it sounds like it's a tinny sound, that's fine. If it's a thud, then they need to be popped back in. Now we're going to transfer those. We're going to put the paper onto the table, and then, so that's your bread, and you leave the hot trays ready for the teacher and the technician to collect.